Hi, this is Brandi Crosby. I'm going to do a 5-minute or less book review of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. Let's do it. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do for this book is give you this picture right here. It's a circle, okay? And I'm actually going to start with the 7th habit. Okay, number 7, sharpen the saw. Okay, now the 7th habit is very, very important. Think of the story of a man in the woods sawing on a tree. He looks exhausted. He's been going at it for days, weeks, maybe months, who knows how long. This guy comes up to him and says, "Hey, how long have you been doing this?" I've been doing this for 2 years. I'm halfway through. I gotta keep going. I can't stop. Well, have you thought about sharpening the blade? Because that might help you get it done faster. No, I can't take a break at all. I can't stop, right? But if he had just sharpened the blade, he would be done pretty quickly after that. Okay, that happens to us so many times in life. So this principle here, sharpen the saw, really has to do with being in this habit of renewal and reflection. The reason we're looking at 7 habits for highly effective people is we want to be effective, and that means produce something. I'm going to put P here for production, okay, and PC is production capacity. So your production equals your production capacity. So if his saw is super, super dull, his production capacity is super, super low. That happens with us too, okay? So in this process of practicing all of these habits and the thing that we're wanting to produce, if we have something really low here, it may be because we need to take a look at this piece here, okay? All right, now let's get started. Now, the whole idea of something that you may want to be effective in is really something Stephen Covey points out that it's called principles. Now, we can maybe want to be really effective whenever it comes to our values. My value is to have nutritious food every night because that's really helpful for my family. But what that nutritious food can mean can kind of be all over the place. Just look up how do you eat healthy and you'll get a cajillion versions of that answer, right? So what Stephen Covey suggests is whatever you're putting through this mechanism is something that is principle based, okay? So let's take a look at some of the examples that he gives us in the book. Things like fairness, okay? And a principle is something that is true no matter what. Like it's innate, it's born in our soul, our DNA. Us as humanity, we value this thing. Just look at 2 2-year-olds trying to share a toy. Fairness, right, is something that has to be taught. It has to be practiced. We all see that right away and we jump in when we see it, right? Some other principles might be things like honesty, trust, contribution, encouragement, quality, growth, and the one I'm going to kind of focus on for this exercise today is the word excellence. Okay, so I'm going to write it down here. You ever have that happen? I'm sure you don't. Okay. So excellence. So here we have the beginning of something that we're going to put through this habit maker, okay? I'm going to start with a line right here. There are some below the line things that have to do with us, ourselves, things that we have to get really good and grounded on before we can be effective up here with other people, okay? So this is me, this is we, okay? So let's take a look at the me section. So number 1, and let me kind of take a look here. All right, be proactive. Okay, so if I wanted to do something with excellence, say I wanted to be a flute player, okay, what do I need to do? I need to be proactive. What do I need to do to be a good flute player? I need to practice. Do I practice right before my audition? No. I practice way in advance. And in fact, that's habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind. Okay, so with this example, as I want to make it into the symphony, I've got to really be in this mode of practicing, and that's the thing that I want to get to, right? So I am going to continually do these things. Now there's a third piece to this, okay, that is first things first. Okay, so I might want to be proactive. I might, and then I'm going to audition for this thing, so I need to practice. I'm going to begin with the end in mind. Okay, so at this audition, this is piece 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the first things first is I've got to learn the fingerings, right? Or even before that, I've got to learn how to make a sound, right? I've got to start here. That's the very beginning. It doesn't matter how much I listen to that piece of music on a recording. If I don't be proactive and practice and begin with an end in mind and practice the right things, and then first things first is make sure that I've got the basics, that's just a pipe dream, right? There is no excellence there at all if I'm not doing these things, okay? Now, above the line things here, we've got number 4 is think when. Okay, and so this may be a way for me to get into the orchestra by myself, but here's the thing, I've got to be able to think about this in a bigger way, that if I just learn my part as a flutist, the rest of the people in there are like, well, why are you just going all over with the tempo? Okay, so you gotta maybe do practice with a metronome, okay? Because then other people can win. We could be together. You may think of, you know what? I need to make sure that I have a really good ear to be able to tune with different people as I'm playing, because it's not just about me. Right? And I'm a flute player, so I know that we have a little queen syndrome. But at the same time, we're a group. It's a we, okay? There's nothing about just a me in an orchestra, okay? So think win-win. And number 5, seek first to understand and then to be understood. I'll just keep going with this flute example. This is so good. Okay, so I have had students before where they come in and they're like, I'm gonna do it like this. And then they put their breaths in some really interesting places and their crescendos in some really interesting places. And kind of what this can look like at work and other jobs is like, do you ever just talk a lot? Right? Do you ever just not listen? Okay? This is very, very important. Whenever it becomes we, it becomes a rising tide lifts all boats. Okay? And by listening to other people, by listening to where they're coming from, you're going to be better. You're going to have more of an understanding of where they're coming from. And in this example, seek first to understand. So if you're taking lessons from a teacher, understand like where they're coming from and why they're saying the things that they're saying. And only then can you do it in the way that the master does it. Will your ideas make sense to even come out, really? Okay. All right. And then the 6th thing here is synergize. This is my favorite part of playing in an orchestra. Okay? If you have done all of these things, you have prepared yourself. If you have prepared yourself to be playing with other people and to play it how the masters play it, then when you get to be in that orchestra, when you get to be on that team, when you get to present in front of a crowd, when you get to lead a sports team, whenever you get to be the teacher in front of the classroom and the kids are finally taking their exam, and it's just the synergy, or a teacher getting a play ready, like this moment where the lights go on, and the music just starts, the oboe plays their A and everybody starts tuning. Oh, it's so magical. And then the first note drops. And then the magic just carries you away, right? So good. Okay, so this is the 6 things. Now, you're doing all of these things, Now, the sharp and the saw, okay? If we're doing all of these things, this is gonna be really exhausting, right? Sometimes. And so just make sure, in this scenario with being a flute player, make sure you're taking care of your body, make sure you're eating right, make sure the stress isn't so high. That's huge. And that's huge not just for musicians, but for everyone, okay? And so all of these things do not work outside of this. This is the thing that kind of surrounds it. So I'm just laughing because this is my 5 minutes or less version of my summary. By 5 minutes, I mean 12. Of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. I hope you got some value out of this tonight or today or this morning, whenever you're seeing this. Have a wonderful day. Best wishes, everybody. Brandi Crosby signing out.